The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Potty Plotters podcast. And it's sunny.
It is, it's lovely.
It's quite it's a bit breezy, yes.
Everything's alive.
Yeah.
Well, the paper.
And us, yeah. We'll have to write a list, that's the thing, because otherwise you finish, don't you, and you think, oh, I forgot to mention that. So, yeah, I've done a little list for us.
It's a list, not a script, because we can't follow scripts, can we?
Well, only because you can't read. That's the problem, isn't it, really? Anyway, so this is
her getting you back for last night?
Yeah. Apparently we switched roles last night when we went out and did a talk. I don't know what I did, but anyway, carry on.
There you go. So, yes, it's still Season 2, Episode 23, and I'm still Elaine.
Oh, yeah, and I'm Julia.
Yeah, you see, you forgot. You wanted to be me, didn't you?
And that's the creaky umbrella.
Oh, yeah. I could
Sounds like my knees.
I could never step into your shoes.
You could?
No, I couldn't, because your feet are so enormous.
You could walk around in these bumps, though, couldn't you?
Yeah,
anyway.
Anyway, Elaine, I know you've written something down, but I just want to tell you something that's happened.
Right, okay, it's all about you, is it? Yes, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, all right. You know, last week we were talking about melons, my melons.
We were.
Yeah, well, I just want to tell you, this morning, I had a man in the polytunnel fondling them.
No.
Yes.
You never did. Did you permit him to do it?
No.
Or did he do it himself?
I turned round and there he was stroking my melons.
No. Have you reported it?
No.
Did you take a photo?
Can you identify him in a lineup?
I can identify him, and his wife actually told him off for doing it.
Was he?
Yeah. She was there. She turned around and she saw him doing it. So
really?
Yeah.
There's something a bit wrong about that.
Yeah,
I think he was just surprised that you could grow melons in this country. So,
and I bet you were surprised that you could catch him fondling them.
No, it's not right, is it?
No.
Fancy stroking a melon. Don't know what he thought would happen. Anyway, carry on. What are we doing this week?
This week, besides talking about you and your melons, right then, I want to talk herbs for one reason or another. Gaps. We keep mentioning them. Yes, exactly, as they say in London, mind the gap. And now then, a lot of people have been talking to us about their brassicas, so we're going to nudge into them. And about taters. Yeah. Mine are coming up lovely. And we're going to talk about bushes.
Oh.
All kinds of them.
Okay. Right, well, that sounds interesting. So, we've been out and about this week, haven't we, Elaine?
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Some lovely people. Well, we went down to Allotry. So Allotry is in Derby. It's in the city centre catchment area. A huge audience, and what a laugh we had there. Yeah. And we donated a raffle prize, Gareth.
What did you donate? If it's me...
No, I'm going to say to you, what do you think we donated?
Tomato plants.
No. Well, we did actually. We gave them away, yeah.
Chocolate.
We gave them away.
But what does every gardener want?
What do we love?
Yeah.
Oh, horse muck.
Yes. Yeah, so we donated
a delivery of horse muck,
which has happened today, and I've had a text to say that. Thanks very much. Yes, I know you're surprised.
I'm looking because you know you used to see those signs at social clubs for meat and whatever bingo. I'm now thinking how you get a raffle prize of it. You think you're going to win a bottle of Prosecco or something, and you win a ton of horse muck.
Yeah, but I tell you what, I'd rather have the chuffing horse muck than a bottle of Prosecco.
It was a much-coveted prize, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Were they fighting over?
There was a scramble. There was a scramble.
Did they get a choice of the prize?
Yes, they did. Yes. And this couple picked it.
Yeah, and we didn't actually take the horse muck with us.
Obviously.
Just in case people are thinking.
Just rock up in a nice part of Derby. Hang on, let me just open the trailer and dump this ton of horse muck. Yeah.
No, we didn't do that. Yeah, and then we donated other prizes as well, because obviously I'm talking about red robins all the time, so I took some of them. We took our bras, didn't we, filled with tomatoes. They're looking smashing at the moment.
They're starting to get red now.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. They're looking gorgeous. Yeah. And so that was that. And then we also went out to the other side of the county, north of the county, near Chatsworth.
You may have heard of Chatsworth. It's very posh.
Yes, it is. It's lovely. Actually, we went to Chatsworth this week as well for another thing. But then we also went to Ashover, which is sort of north of the county. Beautiful area and very well behaved. We only used the whistle once, didn't we? Yeah. But very well behaved group, I would say. And again, we donated to their raffle, didn't we? And we won won the raffle. More to the point.
And what did we win, Gareth?
I took the horse more.
No, it wasn't. No, it was something that we covered very much.
Yeah.
Jonathan Mosley?
No.
Rob Smith?
No. Close, though.
Yeah.
A bar of chocolate.
Oh, okay. What sort of chocolate?
Both smooth and silky.
It was
that one.
Fruit and nut.
Fruit and nut,
Oh, no.
obviously.
Yeah.
Everyone's a fruit and nut case.
Apparently so.
Anyway, Gareth, we're rambling on, but how do people get in contact with us?
So if you have any questions, you can get in touch via the social media channels Facebook, Instagram and X at Potty Plotters. We're on TikTok at The Potty Plotters. You can email us naughtycorner at pottyplotters.uk or check out the website pottyplotters.uk. And if you'd like to support us to keep producing the podcast, you can go to ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters and leave us a tip. And big thanks this time go to Rachel Corden and Tanya Dobbs for supporting us. We love you lots, ladies.
Thank you both
That's
of you.
very kind.
That's very
Thank
kind
you.
of you.
This is. I've got an effect for that these days.
Oh, all
Hang
right,
on.
then we'll
We can
stop
do
doing
it.
that.
We're like a pair of trained seals.
There you go. I've put it in.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Right then, so let's get cracking. The first thing I wanted to talk about was herbs, because herbs seem to be pushed out at the moment to one side. And I know that we've already talked about herbs with Andy from Urban Herbs. See that done,
Urban
sir?
Herbs.
Urban Herbs. Anyway,
Very Brumet that was.
I liked it actually. But I wanted to talk about those that I've got on my plot. So this is about me now, Julia.
Right, okay.
Yeah, just shush for a minute.
Go on
So
then.
I wanted
we
to
talk amongst
about
ourselves?
Yeah, go on then. What you-
lemon balm.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now then, I picked loads of it last Sunday. I stripped it down so that it was all stalk. Oh, that's just reminded me. Let me tell you a funny story before I go there. So I've had an email this morning and it made me laugh. I'll come back to the herbs
on
in a
then,
minute. So this lady, Chris, has been in touch saying this is a sign of her age. Now, I've not written this down.
Yeah.
So bear with.
You're ad-libbing, are you?
Well, I am, but I'll give you the gist
This
of it.
could be dangerous, couldn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's funny. It is funny. So she said she decided, having been to one of our talks some time back, that she was going to listen to a podcast. But what she did was she put it in on her computer and then she couldn't get the screen to work. And I'm sat thinking, the screen to work? She said, I couldn't find your pictures anywhere. And I was desperate to see what you were talking about. And she actually thought that a podcast was something that you put on the computer and you watch it.
Well, we could do that, but it would
Can
take.
we?
Well, we could. We could
Is
record.
that just called a film, though, Gareth?
It's
Yeah.
called a vlog.
A vlog? Have you made that up?
No. Basically, we could record what we do, but there ain't a phone that's got enough memory on it to record an entire vlog and then have me edit it and upload it. I've only got limited internet. at
And
home.
also, I'll just say there is a reason that we do the podcast and we do the radio. It's because we've got faces for it, Elaine.
Well, anyway, I thought I'd share that
that's
with you.
funny,
So,
very
yeah,
much,
I
yeah.
thought it was funny, and she said that it was only when the son came home and said, "What on earth are you doing?" And she said, "I'm trying
heard
to.
that a lot.
I'm trying to watch a podcast."
See, that some
anyway.
podcasts do that. I decided against it a long time ago because the commitment to filming and makeup and having all the people around to do,
Makeup.
to go like to do action and all that sort of stuff. It was just too much of a commitment.
There's not
and
enough hours in the day to make
No, there
it
isn't.
up.
Oh no, you couldn't make up what we say, and we make it
Anyway,
up.
go back to
Right,
drying
so
herbs.
herbs.
Anyway,
yeah,
herbs.
So this lemon balm, it's massive, and it's grown about 3 foot by 3 foot, so there's a lot of it. Stripped it down, and I put it in a big vase with the intention of putting it in the shower, like what's her name had suggested. Tina, that's her.
What's her name?
Yes,
She ain't gonna
Thingy.
like that. Thingy Green.
Thingy green, it's got a bit of a ring to it. Anyway, I didn't. I put it in a vase, and a week on, it's still as good as the day I put it in. In fact, it's starting to flower, so I'm thinking it might actually start to root like mint does when you do that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Now then, having put a little bit on social media about lemon balm, somebody actually contacted us and said that they put it in jars and put it in their greenhouse and it deters whitefly.
Oh.
Now then, so I'm going to try that.
So I might be
well.
round to chop your bush then. Yeah, Elaine,
Anyway.
hang on a minute. I'm just going back and you've titled this drying herbs. There's been no drying going on there. You've just
not
put it
yet. Well, I'm coming to it, yes. So what I've also done is I've started to dry some oregano.
Oh.
Now then, all I've done is I've tied some string around it and I've put it in the shed, which is supposed to be dark. It is quite dark in there. But it'll be interesting as to how long it takes from start to finish in this warmth, because it is warm now, as to whether or not it works.
Oh.
I don't know of anybody else who's properly done it. You don't have to put your hand up, Julia.
Well,
you
I do to get a word in.
Go on then.
Well, what I want to say, a bit of a confession here.
Oh no.
Confession. I think I've become a drug dealer.
Oh.
Yes.
You think you have?
Well, I think I have, but I'm
it?
dealing drugs to cats.
Oh.
Might be the same thing. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not paying me for it or anything, and I've not.
It's not really a dealer then.
I've not really got a big supply chain, but
No.
what I did was, when you were doing your lemon balm,
Yeah.
I actually cut some of the Nepeta that I've got at the front of my plot.
Also known as cat mint.
Cat mint. Well, I've got some at home, and I know what happens to the cat mint at home in the fact that the cats just lie on it and squash it. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of cat toys are made up with cat mint in them, and the cats go mad. So I thought, well, I must be able to do my own. So I chopped some off the plant, and I just left it outside. And to be honest, because it was so hot, it dried outside.
Oh, right, okay.
And then what I did was strip the
leaves
dried
off,
leaves off the stem, and put it in a box. Took it home. Oh my gosh. The cats,
gone mad.
Cats went mental. They were so spaced out. It was untrue, Elaine.
Can I try it, please? I've got a cat that I'm trying to deliver to somebody that isn't ours. And I want it, if it spaces her out for, 5 minutes, it's a win.
Honestly, Gareth, they go mad for
Yeah.
it. If anybody's got a cat out there and you've got cat mint, Nepeta, honestly, it is worth watching.
Yeah,
Isn't
I mean,
it?
if you're growing it in your garden, it won't last very long because they literally will roll in it, they'll sleep in it.
Oh, we're going to try this.
Yeah.
But they absolutely love it, and they were so chilled out. The cats were so chilled out. In fact, neighbouring cats then came to start rolling in it. So
you've had a cat party.
Can I ask another question about herbs and cats? So yesterday when we went shopping, they'd got you know how the supermarkets have the living herbs in the pots?
Yeah.
So in previous years, I've bought some of those up and put them in a pot and let them grow. And I seem to recall cats don't like basil. Because the scent of basil. So when you rub past basil, obviously it automatically sets the scent off. So I bought a load of basil.
that's not very nice. Although I like basil.
I do as well. But you use that as well, don't you?
Yeah.
You've got a lot of it in your polytunnel where you normally grow your tomatoes.
Yeah, I've got it round the tomatoes.
Well, they're marriage made in heaven.
They are marriage made in heaven, and So that's my confession over. So I'm glad you've clarified that if no money's changed hands, I'm not actually a dealer.
I'm not sure anything illegal has happened.
Okay.
I think that is readily available on the marketplace. So you're fine. It's not like you've imported it and it's something you've grown in the loft. Imagine that.
No. Cat mint in the loft.
But can I try some of that?
Yes, of course you can. Yes.
And then film it so that we know what happens.
Yeah.
Oh God, we'll be filming. She has so much film and photos taken of her. She's a very photogenic cat.
That's not your cat.
It's not our cat, but the owner doesn't seem to care.
So Elaine, I'm now moving back on topic again. So drying herbs, can you dry any herbs by just chopping them off and then dangling them upside down?
Well, I would say you can, but is there a need for it? Because when we went to Chatsworth, which we did last week, there was the biggest load of mint you have ever seen. And it did make me smile. It was in the kitchen garden, and I thought, oh, now why have you put it the way that they have, which is letting it roam everywhere, rather than containing it, which is what we do in buckets. And even Jerry does that, doesn't he, on plot 38.
Mint takes over, doesn't it?
Oh, it's honestly, it's vicious stuff, and it will completely take over. It's really hard to get rid of. So I would say with mint, I wouldn't ever dry mint. What I would do is I chop it after it starts to come into flower, and then it starts all over again. And every year it comes back. And if you've noticed, Jerry's got 3 buckets of it down here. So he does exactly the same. But I don't understand really why people on allotments grow them on allotments, because by the time you get them home, they're floppy. And what good's anything floppy once you've got it home?
Contact the Potty Plotters anytime on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Potty Plotters, or email naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
The winter months are upon us, Julia.
Are they?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's July. Yeah, it seems like it. It is July. Don't forget. So yeah, winter's here now, isn't it? Really, but we always talk about filling the gaps.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if everybody understands what it means. So today I've got loads of seeds, and I noticed when I came round onto your plot, you've already started. Now, what do we mean by filling the gaps?
So what you mean by filling the gaps is that some crops will be ending shortly, and so rather than just leaving that an empty space for the rest of the season, we're looking at getting something else in there to make use of the space so it's not a dormant bed.
So give me an idea then. So if, for instance, I've just taken a whole load of beetroot out, what are we going to do now?
Well, I know you.
Hear that noise?
They're
They're coming after the drug dealer.
They know, Get out of the loft.
Knowing you'd put more beetroot in, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
But what would you do?
What would I put in?
Yeah.
I'd probably be putting more carrots in.
Because although it's July, actually a lot of older people, I remember, said you never ever plant carrots until after the 4th of July.
Oh.
So we'd be into the second crop of carrots in fairness, wouldn't we? So the 4th of July, let's get some carrots in.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's upon us, and you can do it at any time. Now, we also said a few weeks ago that June has been like April.
Yeah.
So do you think that July will be like May?
Oh, gosh knows. Who knows?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It just keeps changing its mind every day almost. So, anything's worth a gamble. But another thing that I'm looking at filling the gaps with, so, I grow a lot of brassicas. We're talking about brassicas later.
Yeah.
And there's always usually a variety that you can plant later on for cropping at different periods. So I always like to have lots of different brassicas coming up. So I've got some later broccoli, some later cauliflowers, just to get in the beds, because I don't want to waste the space. And why would I? Because I like growing them.
And that makes sense. And we can also do French beans, dwarf French beans. Now, the other thing is that you can do lots of dwarf things. So you can do dwarf peas as well. And of course, they don't take as long to get going. And you'll be having them earlier than if you were to do main crop peas. So again, look at the backs of packets and look out for the right ones for the season. But you certainly get enough of those get going, wouldn't you, by now?
Yeah.
And actually, if you want to do some Chantenay carrots, although I would say you've got main crop carrots
You've got
now.
time,
Yeah, so let's go for it. So what we mean by mind the gap, literally, is look out for it, look at what's going to come in a few weeks, and start now what's going to fill the gap.
You need to do it before the gap appears. You need to be getting things set and ahead of the game before you've got an empty space, really.
I think that's good advice, isn't it?
Thanks.
Hints and tips for shortcuts to success. The Potty Plotters Plotcast.
Now then, you wanted to talk about fruit bushes, and I suppose that's because it's about you, is it?
No, it's not.
It's okay. I noticed that you've netted yours.
If you just look behind you, my blueberries are now...
It is about you.
Okay, then.
Yeah, okay, let's go for it.
Well, look, the blueberries are all coming
fantastic.
on.
Yeah, they look marvellous.
And, of course, I love the blueberries, but the pigeons and the birds and everything else loves the blueberries. And I'm not sharing. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing. I've also netted the black currants because they're swelling and they're ripening, and I want to keep them as well. So really everything now is starting to become ready, and if we don't take preventative measures, we're going to lose them, because they'll be like screaming to the birds, I'm ripe, I'm ready, come and eat me.
And isn't it amazing that birds know when they're ripe?
Yeah.
That's what I find staggering. But red currants, black currants, I always just drape a debris netting, any type of netting, just drape it over the bush so that the birds actually, if they got in, they wouldn't get stuck. Yeah. But generally speaking, if you drape it to the floor, they don't bother, do they? No. Now, I saw a blackbird this morning at your blueberries.
Did you?
Yeah, it couldn't get in because you've used some wider holed netting there, haven't you? Yeah. But you've also pinned it all down so they can't literally get in.
No. So I've made sure there's no entrances for them, in which case they can't get in. But like you say, if not, drape some debris netting, although Jerry did that with his red currants and it blew off, and now the birds have ate all the red currants.
I know, and I tell you what, You know, when we say this kind of thing, I don't think everybody believes us.
No.
But they haven't just taken them, they've stripped them, haven't they? Because when we're not here, the pigeons and magpies go crazy for it all, don't they? So they've all gone.
Yeah,
Literally.
and things like, you know, if you've got raspberries coming on,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's like a beacon to them, isn't it? Come and eat
Well,
me.
it's the red currants for me.
Yeah.
As soon as you've got red currants, they can spot them a mile away and they're just in straight away. So just drape over. It's really important, although we did see that... what's her name? Hillary over, I think her plot number is it 59? Something like that. Don't
Hillary
matter.
at 59.
Yes. And Arthur.
Hillary and Arthur at 59.
Yeah. I think they are.
See, with this cold, I can do really good voiceover. I should exploit this voice. While I
Let's
can.
do it. We'll have all numbers. But what they've done is they've had that old tape. You know when you used to play cassette tapes?
Oh, yeah.
They've got old tape and they've stuck it all the way round where their fruit bushes are.
That's clever.
In fairness, I haven't seen any birds on there.
While we're talking about musical things, is it an old wives' tale that if you put CDs around, it kind of stops them? So, you know...
No, it's right,
It
because
is,
they don't
yeah.
like to see the reflections in the
Yeah.
in the CDs. So it's funny because when we were at Chatsworth, in the
They had a full musical ensemble stopping them, did they? Not
they
CDs.
did. They had like this rotating mirror, didn't they? But it was massive, and that was to deter the
I
birds.
think it was a sculpture.
Oh, was it a sculpture?
Sculpture in the bushes. Yeah.
Well, it was a mirror sculpture anyway,
dead good,
and it was
yeah.
obviously to deter the birds. But if you can't afford a mirror sculpture
Or a musical ensemble.
get yourself some old CDs and dangle them around your bushes, because that
That doesn't sound right, does it? But yeah.
because that will at least deter them, because they'll make noises to deter them. I mean, you could make a scarecrow if you wanted.
Do they work? They look funny, but nah, I think we'll stick with the CDs and the musical theme.
Okay.
Could start singing, but I won't.
Now that would deter them.
It would actually.
We could have you on playback all the time. My God, nothing had ever come on the allotments. No, let alone any other plot holders, would we? No.
Oh dear. Right
I
then.
mean, that was a bit rude, wasn't it?
It is, but I'm used to it. Yeah, as I say, she's taking over.
If you'd like Elaine and Julia to come to a talk for your group, get in touch. naughtycorner@pottyplotters.uk.
The next thing is, I wanted to talk about taters.
Oh, yeah.
Now
When you're making chips.
well, funny you should say that. We were on about that yesterday. We thought we'd get a new chip pan.
A bigger one.
Yeah,
It
but
needs
I
to
can
be-
feel it coming on soon.
Where are you getting the potatoes from?
Well, I don't know if you know, Julia, I've got an allotment just next door. Honestly, it's massive.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Yeah,
You
I forgot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You forgot.
No, I forgot you'd planted potatoes. I'm going to say my buckets are empty now.
Oh, it's a long day, isn't it? We shouldn't do this so late in the day, I don't think.
No.
Anyway, so what I wanted to say to people was, it doesn't worry me if my potatoes don't go into flower. It doesn't worry me if the tops start to die back. So don't panic about anything, because I didn't plant my taters until a lot later. In fact, it was halfway through May when I did it, because our plots, if you recall, were underwater for so long. So don't worry, because instead of putting them in April, which I usually do, I'm at least 4 weeks behind. So they take about 10 weeks first earlies.
If someone had planted them early, Elaine,
Yeah.
and then they have started to die back, what would happen? Would the potatoes underneath just get bigger and bigger, or what would happen?
Yeah, of course they will. They will
Oh.
carry on until everything stops, and that's when everything dies back on the top.
Right.
And as soon as they die back on the top, you can actually cut the tops off if you want
And
it.
just leave them
yeah,
under the
because
ground?
there's no osmosis. Is that the word? There's none of that stuff going on.
That's a place down the road, isn't it?
Osmosis.
Were they a group? Something like that. But no, you don't, none of that anymore. It's all finished because there's no greenery, Julia. It's all to do with the greenery and the
Okay.
oxygen and carbon dioxide and all that stuff.
Here, this is going out after the election, so here speaketh the Ministry for Allotments and all that stuff.
And all that stuff. Well, it fits everything, Gareth. You should use that sentence more often.
And all that stuff. I do.
There you go. So all I'm saying is, people have been in touch about their potatoes not going into flower. Don't worry, because not all varieties will and not all varieties need to. It's an old wives' tale. Why do we say that phrase?
Old wives.
An old wives' tale. What about young wives?
Don't think they tell
What about
tales.
husbands?
Yeah, what about them?
They tell a lot of tales.
Yeah, they do. It's not very good, is it? I'm not saying that.
Won't be
ever
that
again.
long, just going to the golf club.
There you go.
I'm just having 1 pint.
There's an old wives' tale. It's a funny thing, though, isn't it? Why old as well? Have you got to be an old person? Anyway, we'll leave it at that. When I'm Minister of Allotment, I'll ban things like that. Never mind all that stuff.
Ooh, you didn't make me laugh. Right.
So we'll get the chip pan out.
Yeah.
Maybe the next time we record and see what the taters are like. I can't figure out how many 10 weeks from the middle of May is. But anyway, we will work it out. I've got a calculator somewhere. I've had my tape measure
That'll be
out
the
as
beginning
well.
of August, I reckon.
Is it?
Oh, can't wait that long for
Blimey.
chips.
No, I'll have to go to the chip shop.
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters.
Now then, Julia, there's been problems with brassicas. Let's explain what brassicas... Hey, I've seen somebody's today as well. I'll talk about that in a minute. So, brassicas. What is a brassica?
So a brassica is something like a cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kohlrabi. They are all brassicas. Brussels sprouts, brassicas. They are grow on a stalk, and that's a brassica.
Well, that was really interesting. Thanks for that. Okay, then.
Next week.
Yeah, what more do you want me to say?
All right, then. I'm going to talk about problems because Dave and... I think they're on number 20-something.
Dave plots 20-something.
Yes.
Good at
Dave
this, aren't you?
and thingy. Margaret.
Oh, Margaret.
Dave and Margaret.
Oh,
Dave
yeah,
and
yeah.
Margaret with
20-something.
something.
Yeah.
Now then, they went by this. I mean, you know what it's like when you've grown something that you're really proud of. You want that marching band.
Yeah.
You want that trumpet voluntary sounding as you have taken whatever it is that you've had. Now then, they went by today full of the joys of spring, and what they had got was a beautiful cauliflower. But it was very small. Now, there was much fun and frivolity as they went past plot 2, Kev plot 2.
Oh,
So do you want me to... Kev, plot 2.
Yes,
Yeah.
he joined in ridiculing them until I pointed out, Kev, what have you got? That shut him up and he cleared off back into the polytunnel.
What had he got?
So, nothing.
Nothing.
Exactly.
No, he has
That's
been
the
complaining.
problem. So tell us about these problems, Julia.
So he has been complaining, and
Kev complaining?
Yeah,
I
not
know.
like
No,
it.
I
no.
gave him a tray of cauliflowers, and I also gave
Cauliflower plants.
Plants, yeah. And I also gave some to Eric and Jackie, and I planted some as well.
Eric and Jackie plot. Are they 6?
Yeah,
they are. They're plot 6.
Anyway, does it matter?
Eric and Jackie, plot 6.
This is like a game of bingo. We ought to issue people with cards. If we mention Eric and Jackie, if we mention Kev. Anyway.
Then they get a prize.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
It's on the
But,
horse book.
but I gave them all some cauliflower plants, and I planted my own. Now, these were some that I have grown many years, and I would have expected them to have been ready at the end of May. Ready to take, and they should be a full head-size cauliflower.
Are they Boris?
Boris, yeah, they were Boris.
Big-headed.
Big-headed, white fluffy, big head, yeah. But they've always been successful. This year...
Unlike people called Boris.
No, but this year we have all experienced the same problem in the fact that nothing has developed in the centre of the plant until...
Where the brain is.
Yeah.
Until last week when the weather changed. The weather changed last week, it started to get warmer, and there, lo and behold, the head has started to develop, and now I've got some that have got the heads about the size of a grapefruit, and I'm going to let them get a lot bigger. So it's obviously the season, it's obviously the weather conditions, and they've just been waiting for it to get just a little bit warmer before they develop. So, you know, there's a lot of things that are happening on the allotments at the moment that people are worrying about, and the main cause of it has just been the weather.
Yeah, I would agree on that. In that, yesterday I was weeding around the dwarf French beans, and what happened was I had a look and they're actually coming to flower. Now they've been in for weeks, nothing had happened. They were completely dormant, and now they've lifted and they've started to take off. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this warm weather proves the point that if we get permanent cold weather, nothing's going to grow.
Well, things will grow, but I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to adapt. So like we were saying earlier about filling the gap, it's about finding the variety that suits the conditions, because obviously Boris needed a bit more heat before he started to develop, or maybe it was just too cold in the ground for him to develop further. So, but yeah, we'll be having cauliflower cheese soon.
Oh, lovely.
Very nice indeed. So what about other things such as Brussels sprouts? Have you grown any of them?
I've not got any Brussels sprouts in mine, but the starter plotters that I've been working with, they have, and they are developing quite nicely, and we don't want to see any sprouts developing on the plants themselves at the moment. But the cabbages, again, they sat there doing like they were doing nothing for weeks and weeks, and then lo and behold, the weather changed and things have really got growing, and it's almost like they've put on double the growth in a week. So, you know, it's patience. We can't do anything about the weather, can we? Maybe you could kind of put some kind of protection around the plants to keep a bit of heat in. I don't know, but
it's hard, isn't it? Because if you give too much protection and they get too hot, then you'll get whitefly.
Yeah.
Because as soon as the plant gets stressed, that seems to attract them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But what about watering? How do you go on with that?
So, I mean, because it's been so wet, normally I just allow the brassicas to find the moisture that's in the ground. I have, now it's, again, we had a really hot period, didn't we, where it was too hot for us all, and I did give them a good watering. Now, when I say good watering, it's always better. We can't stress this enough. If you give a plant a good puddling of water once every 3 or 4 days, then give it a little splash every day. It so much benefits it, and that's what I have done. So, you know, I've given them a bit of a soaking, and probably that's helped as well.
And one thing I've not seen so far are any cabbage white butterflies.
No.
None?
No.
So I wonder what's happened there. It's unusual, isn't it? Because at this time of year, usually we're inundated with them.
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's see what happens.
We've got to have one bonus for the year, haven't we? Because everything else has been attacked right, left and centre.
Yeah, stripped, I would say, on some occasions.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what happens. All's not lost.
No.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can leave us a tip at ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. That's ko-fi.com/thepottyplotters. And we'll love you forever.
Well, thanks to everybody for listening to all this gubbins. And next time we will be talking, because that's what we do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought we'd have a chat about sweet corn, though. We haven't talked about them for ages, have we?
No. It's because we're not growing any, Elaine.
No, well, what about greenhouses? We're not growing them neither, are we? But we're going to talk about them.
Yeah.
What's growing in greenhouses, Gareth?
I can tell you now if you want, but do you want to wait till next time?
We'll wait until next week. Actually,
it up.
no. We don't just want you to talk about it, Gareth. We want you to bring photos or a video to prove what is happening in your greenhouse, please.
Don't you believe him anymore?
I sent you photos the other day.
Well,
She didn't look at them, obviously.
another week and we'll have some more.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do whatever we can and cram it all in, won't we?
The Plotcast Podcast with the Potty Plotters is an Amberland Media production.